بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله واصحابه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Murabbi Youth Initiative. What we plan to do here is to assist parents, to assist schools, and to assist the society in general in helping our young people become the best them that they can be. We want to use a Murabbi approach where we're not focusing just on academics. We're not just focusing on the physical side of things. We're also looking at the spiritual dimension, the psychological dimension, the whole student. We want the student to be spiritually aware and to grow up to be a positive Muslim that helps the society grow. Today's lesson is going to be, who are you really? Who are you really? And we're going to be focusing on identity before influence. This is going to be extremely important because this is the way the people that are enemies of Islam, this is how they've learned to attack the Muslims. It doesn't work to attack the Muslims outright with physical force. It doesn't work by attacking the Quran or attacking Hadith. But what has worked, unfortunately, is to attack the identity of the Muslim. And what they're discovering now, not just with the Muslims, but with everybody, that is the youth that are most susceptible to identity crises. Hopefully, by the end of this lesson, our students will understand what their identity is, and that it's not something that was invented, and is not something that you can discover through trends or through your feelings. It is not an individual thing. It is the deepest identity that begins with a person understanding that you are a servant of Allah, that your goal and your function is to worship Allah, and that every other role is second to that, and that your servitude to Allah is the foundation. Young people, I want you to imagine somebody's asking you this question, and what is it that you visualize? Who are you? Somebody asks you, who are you? What is it that you visualize? What is it that you see? What answers are you going to give? Some people would say their name. Some people would say things like, I'm a football player, I'm a gamer, I'm an artist. They will talk about the things that they like to do. Maybe they would talk about some characteristics that they have. They would say, I'm funny, I am a serious person, I'm quiet, I'm smart. All of those things may be true. All of those things may be something that we can clearly see. Like, you can see somebody who's very into sports. We can see, like, okay, they might identify as that. But what we want is for somebody to really describe who they are, not just what you're interested in, not what you spend your time doing, but what you really are. If somebody else saw you, what would they say? Not just from your perspective, but what would other people say? Not one or two people, in general. What would the collective society say about you if they ask, who is this person? Now, if all those things that you're interested in, football, gaming, whatever other sports, disappear today, social media disappeared, there are no more grades, there's no more school, no followers, no friends. Now the question is, who are you? That's a pretty deep question. Who are you? This is actually a question that humanity has been asking since the beginning of humanity. What does the world say? What does society in general, the bigger society, what does it say? The world tells us that you should say something that's empowering. The world tells you to be yourself, find yourself, create your own truth. But there's a problem in this. If everybody's creating their own truth, there are some people that are ridiculous out there. There are some people that are prone to lying. There are some people that are whimsical, silly. So what is considered truth is going to be different from person to person if that's how we're doing it. If everybody decides what is the truth, then there's going to be multiple truths, and by definition, that can't be true. How can you create yourself? That's a question. How can you create yourself? If you can create your own truth, what about you yourself? Eventually, asking questions is going to lead to this. If you're an intelligent person, you're going to ask, where did I come from? Who created me? If you buy a brand new phone, of course, this is not a brand new phone, but it was brand new at one point. Your mind eventually is going to lead to somebody created this. Now, this is a Xiaomi. I think that's how you say it. This one's a Xiaomi. I know that the Chinese are the ones that created this phone, right? It's a Chinese company. And eventually you can boil it down to the engineers, to the designers, to however many different people were involved. But you know that this phone did not materialize out of nowhere. Somebody had to create this phone. If you're intelligent, this is what you'll realize. Somebody had to create it. Now, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Some people in the past spent all of their life searching for that answer and came up with nothing, unfortunately. Some people, as they say, hey, you create your own truth. You decide your purpose. But Islam comes with a different message, and it's a universal message, and it's one that makes sense. Allah says that we were created for worship. That is our purpose in this life, to worship. Now that you know this, you were created to worship. Worship what? Worship who? How do we worship? These should be the logical questions that you are jumping to now. Islam answers all of those questions for you, because without somebody, or without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell us how to do these things, everybody will come up with their own way. And the reality is, if you look around the world, there are so many different religions out there, and that proves exactly what we're saying, that if you don't have the proper guidance on how to do these things, you're going to come up with all sorts of different things, to the point that some people will start worshiping hamburgers. Now, the Islamic answer as to who you are and why you're here and what is your identity. The first identity of every Muslim is not that you're a student or an athlete or a son or a daughter or a family member. It's not about what you plan to do in the future, whether you're going to be an engineer or a doctor or a teacher. Teachers. Those things are important, but that is not the most important thing. If you strip everything away, who are you? What is the core? What is the core? What is in the middle? And that should be that you are a servant of Allah, that you're an Abdullah, that you serve Allah first, that we worship Allah first. That is the foundation. That's the basis of our identity. Nothing else should be important but this. Now, once we know that, once we know the core, when everything is stripped away, that our identity is to worship Allah, now social media is not that important. Now the bullying that happens in school is not that important. Now you worrying about whether you'll be married or whether you have money, all these things become less important. What is important is that you are a worshiper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the highest of identities, because this is the most important. This is who you are in the core. And this is the identity of all the prophets, including our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was known as the servant. He was known as the servant. He too was a worshiper of Allah. So before he became a leader of the Muslims, he was a servant to the people. Before he was able to influence so many millions of people, he worshipped. Before his name became known worldwide, and we say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam after his name, he was humble. This tells us that all of these things were important first, the worship aspect. That when you put the worship and all these things in a proper place, then the other things will be facilitated. The other things will come for you. You put Allah first, you put the worship of Allah first, then Allah will bless you in those endeavors as long as you put effort. You put effort to become an engineer, Allah will bless you and allow that to happen. You put effort to become a teacher, to become a doctor, to become a businessman, Allah will facilitate this to you as long as the worship aspect of your core identity is there. Influence is something that is always happening. You may not realize it, but influence, it is always happening, whether you realize it or not. You have been influenced since the time of your birth by your family around you. It affects how you think, it affects how you look at the world. You're affected by the environment that you live in. You know, if you live in a place like England or in Canada that is dreary most of the time, cold and windy, that affects you and your personality. If you're in a sunny, you know, very pleasant weather place like the Bahamas or in the Caribbean someplace, that affects your personality. Those people who are from the desert regions, it affects their personality. So you're always influenced at all times. Now, what happens when you add things to this? Social media. You think it's possible for you to use social media and not be affected? You're not going to be affected by what you see, by what you hear. And I'll give you a case in point. If I say 6'7", right? Some of you will laugh, right? As I'm sure my son is probably laughing now. Why? Because you heard it on social media and people told you it was funny, and so you accepted it as funny, and it spread. It spread. Going viral. This is a reality that people are affected by social media. People laugh at jokes, at memes, and things like this because they're affected by what's around them, especially social media. All of these things have an effect on your character. When you're watching football and you see the way people behave, you start to adopt some of those behaviors too, so that when you play football, you see yourself after you score a goal, what do? You do that Ronaldo thing, whatever that thing is that he does. That when you commit a foul, you start to argue, yeah, like they do. You start to argue with the ref. You start to, astaghfirullah, lie that you didn't actually commit the foul. And astaghfirullah, some people, they cheat, right? They cheat. I know, I used to play football. I know I don't look like it, but I used to play football. People cheat, purposely trying to trip somebody, holding jerseys while you're doing the wall for a free kick. People cheat. You become influenced by these things that you see, whether you realize it or not. Why could this be potentially dangerous for you? As young people, your minds are like sponges. You absorb everything, whether you realize it or not. So you may not realize that something is dangerous. You may not realize something is harmful, but you absorb it anyway. You take these things in. You become a mirror for that which your eyes see. So if you are constantly watching something that could be negative or something haram, that you will mirror that thing. It will start to have an effect on you. As a child, you are in a process of formation. You're growing. You're going from one stage to the other. And hopefully the goal is to get you guys to be adults. While you're young, if you're taking in these negative forces, you're taking in these negative things, some of it starts to become part of you. And then as you grow, you don't leave those things. You take it with you. Unfortunately, some people, they take all of the bad, and then when they get older, they become evil people. And there are some people that are able to realize, oh, well, this was something bad, I should ignore it. And those people are very few. For this week, I want you to do something very simple. I want you to look at one thing that is a distraction. I want you to just look at one thing that's a distraction, okay? And this is completely up to you. I can't tell you what is the distraction for you. I can tell you what a distraction is for me, but I can't tell you what a distraction is for you. So for one person, maybe it's TikTok. For another person, maybe it's Instagram. Maybe for somebody, it's football scores. They're addicted to looking at ESPN to keep up with the football scores. For some people, it may be their PlayStation. For others, it just may be the phone in general. Whatever the distraction that you may have, what I want you to is to identify what that distraction is and leave it for 7 days. I want you to be very intentional about that. Leave it for 7 days. I'm not saying leave it forever, just 7 days. See what you can do. Now, some of us, we may fail, and that's fine. That's fine. You try one day, you're successful 2 days, 3 days, you start to get nervous. The fourth day, you get, and then you pick it up. Okay, fine. Then you try again. But the point is that I want you to see what those distractions are and to see how much power that distraction has over you and whether you can overcome it. Now, we're just saying 7 days, 1 week, okay? See how you feel after leaving that distraction for that long. See how your heart feels. See how your focus and your attention is. See if you don't become more productive. See if other people don't notice a difference in you, whether for the better, inshallah, hopefully for the better, or for the worse. Now, as we continue this program, this should be a 12-week program, we're not trying to make you into somebody else. I'm not trying to turn you into a new person, into a new individual. Rather, what we're trying to do is to show you the person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant for you to be. We are trying to create a real confidence in you, not this fake social media stuff where people just they think that, oh, I have a million likes and so many subscribers that I'm somebody special, because at any moment they can cancel your account and then you're back to zero. So if you are a person that was looking at social media as what makes you important, all your subscribers are gone, so that means you're nothing, you're not important. No, this is what we're trying to show you. We're trying to show you where real confidence comes from, and we want you to have a strong connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to really know your purpose, so that when somebody asks you or you ask yourself who you are, you have a very good answer to that question. By now, you should know the answer to that. And I'm not going to tell you, you should know. As usual, I leave you with smile, stay classy, have a good day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.